This is the SAU Report, a program featuring interviews with the faculty, staff, students, and alumni of Southern Arkansas University in Magnolia.
Welcome to the SAU Report. I'm Adrienne Lawton.
And I'm Lisa Stegall. Today we're talking with two new faculty members here at SAU, Brian Daugherty, new head basketball coach, and Kevin Blaskowski, girls softball coach. Thank you for joining us here today.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your background, where you went to college, why you chose SAU. Brian, we'll start with you.
Well, actually, I finished up my undergraduate degree from Southern Arkansas University. I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Psychology and then returned, received my teaching certification in secondary education, and then also my master's from Southern Arkansas.
Was that your first choice? Are you from around here?
No, actually my family is from Magnolia and the Stevens area, so I had spent quite a bit of time in Magnolia and have been familiar with Southern Arkansas all of my life, but I had been at other schools prior to.
What about you?
Well, I grew up in Valley City, North Dakota, and I went to Valley City State University and did my undergraduate work there, and got my bachelor's degree in HKR, Health and Kinesiology and Recreation, and then I went to Emporia State University in Kansas and received my master's degree there, and then went on and coached at the junior college level and have been throughout Kansas and Oklahoma before moving to Arkansas.
Brian, maybe you can tell us a little bit why you went into coaching, why you chose coaching.
Well, actually, before I came back and received my graduate degree, I was in the field of business for a while. I was in the restaurant business with my family, and had always had a passion and desire to be involved with young men in athletics, and I guess had forsaken that for some time, but was able to fortunately come back with the aid of Coach Monroe Ingram, who was here, the head basketball coach for several years, and Coach Sam Biley. Allowed me to come in and work with them and be able to get into coaching at the collegiate level, and I'll always be grateful to them for that help and assistance.
Kevin, how about you? Why coaching?
Well, I guess it's something I've always wanted to do. I can remember when I was young playing sports. You know, we started about 5, 6 years old playing summer league baseball, and have had the opportunity to always be involved in athletics, and it's been something I've enjoyed to do. I've had some people that have been very influential that were coaches for me through high school and college, and I wasn't always sure what I wanted to teach or what area I wanted to be in, but I did know that I wanted to be involved in coaching and continue to stay in athletics. And you know, I think I've learned some valuable lessons about life through athletics, and I hope that I'm able to share that with the people that play in the programs that I'm a part of.
So you would say that there were some people in your life that have been inspirations to you, maybe teachers earlier on?
Oh, certainly. I played Legion baseball back in North Dakota, and Jan Bushman was my coach back then, and Coach Bushman was the type that he expected a lot of us off the field, not just as players, and he taught me important lessons on how what we did in our life was more important than actually winning or losing the games, and how we could learn to be competitive playing and learn how we can use that in a regular lifestyle. And then my college baseball coach, Jim Dew, was probably the person that I owe the most to. He helped me through the early years of college, which a lot of times were very difficult, and you know, he's the one that got me started into college coaching, and I feel like you know, I owe a lot to him. I don't always agree with everything he did when I played for him, but now looking back at it, I understand that it's probably helped mold me into who I am now. And then obviously I owe a lot to my parents. You know, my mom and dad have always been there, and even though they've both passed away now, I feel like, you know, they get a chance to see me coach on a regular basis, and they were always there when I played. They were always very supportive, and you know, it's been an athletic family, which, you know, I hope that I can share that with everybody that I work with.
So Brian, you've had some things also carry through to your coaching life, maybe some inspirational.
Absolutely. As Kevin said, my family also was very inspirational. You know, my father and my mother and my grandparents and all my family had been involved with athletics. We had the character, I guess, that is instilled in a young man, young woman through athletics, the coaches that you have, it has always been a key influence to me. The coaches that I've had and the coaches that I have been associated with, they too also stressed character of individual, and that's what I think had the biggest impression on my life, and would like to hopefully be able to carry that over with my programs.
Kevin, we know that you've just moved here recently. How did you find SAU?
Well, it's an interesting scenario. I was coaching in Enid, Oklahoma at Phillips University, and 2 years ago we started a new softball program there, and we were enjoying a lot of success, and we had made it to the playoffs our first season, and the last year we were in the playoff hunt. But Phillips University was a university that was always strapped with a lot of financial uncertainty, and obviously, you know, stability is something we all look for in a workplace, and it looked as if Phillips was going to not make it, and now they have went under and they have closed, and a lot of students and faculty were put out at that time. But I had just been going through some job applications and looking at some of the vacancies that were available, and Steve Dingman, our faculty athletic rep here, called me one evening when I was in my office working on some stats after game and asked me if I'd be interested in coming down and interviewing. At that time I asked my fiance, and we considered it very thoroughly about whether we wanted to make a move or what we thought was in our best interests, and we came down, and I had the opportunity to interview with the athletic staff and the administration of the university, and you know, from day one I've enjoyed it and have you know, never looked back. I thought it was a great move, and you know, I think it's something that I feel like I've come here for a reason.
How did he find you? How did Steve find you?
Well, I'd sent an application, and I talked with Coach Watson and sent a resume and application in, and you know, he was on the search committee, and he was one of the people that was asked to make some phone calls to some of the candidates, and you know, it was just kind of a stroke of luck that I happened to be in the office when he called that night.
So what was the interview process like? Was it long or rigorous, or?
It wasn't really what I would call rigorous, because it gave me an opportunity to talk about something that I love to do. And you know, I think starting a program 2 years ago was a big plus, because I was able to share some of the ups and downs that we had experienced then, and visited with the search committee here, also visited with Dr. Gamble and other members of the administration. And it wasn't rigorous. I tried to do a lot of prep work in advance, and presented a game plan, and you know, everything worked out.
Why did you choose SAU? Did you look at other universities? Was this your first choice, first school?
Oh, you know, Brian will probably attest to this. A coach always looks at all their options when you're trying to find a job, and I think you have to take into what's in best interest of your family, and where you feel like you can be comfortable, hopefully for a long period of time. And when I came in and spent time here, and actually met Brian for the first time on that visit, I felt a real comfortable air. Everyone seems to be very sincere and very honest. You know, they don't try and put on a special show to impress people when they come in and visit or interview, and that was something that I really liked, and I felt like, you know, Southern Arkansas University would be a place where I could be very comfortable.
Now, you mentioned you got your degree in psychology, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so are there any other subjects you teach here at SAU?
Well, actually, I teach in the HKR department. I teach a skills class each semester, and then I teach several activity classes. So while I do have my undergraduate degree in psychology, which I find that helps me within the classroom as well as on the basketball floor and with my student athletes, I'm actually able to teach in another field which I received my master's in, which is HKR.
So you think that's helped you to relate better to your
Oh,
students?
absolutely, absolutely. You know, Kevin will also agree. Coaching is people business. Relating to your athletes, being able to ask and receive effort and concentration from them, and the background that I have in psychology benefits me tremendously.
A little bit about sports itself. Brian, I know that you teach basketball, and Kevin, you teach softball. How's the SAU's football's winning season been? How's it affected the other departments? Has it been like an uplifting for the students? Has people had a little more?
Oh, absolutely. Coach Roberts and the coaching staff have done a tremendous job with the Rider football program. You know, several years ago they made a key commitment to bringing in quality people with strong character, and as the years have progressed, that philosophy has proven to be very true. You know, their success can do nothing but help the rest of us. I know that when I'm out on the road or on the phone recruiting, talking to athletes, they're familiar with the football program as well, and just the attention that any of the other sports receives is beneficial to us all, and we're very proud of them.
Okay, I'd like to ask both of you, do you find it hard to recruit good players to a small university such as SAU? Kevin?
Yeah, I don't think it's difficult if you go out and you recruit the right type of athlete for the environment at which we're working in. It would probably be tough to recruit to a small environment if we spent all of our time trying to recruit in a big, you know, a metro area where we were just trying to bring in the metro athletes. But I think if we do a good job of mixing the backgrounds of our players when we bring them in and really show them that we care about them and want them to be successful, the biggest sale is working with the parents and convincing them that this is a place where they can be comfortable, where they can be safe, where they can get a quality education and be prepared to go out after college is over with. And I think the small environment now is something that parents are looking for, and a lot of times you get players that they don't want to be a number. They want to have their own identity, and I think it goes hand in hand with, you know, even students looking at a small atmosphere, and I know Brian will say the same thing. The first thing we sell when we go out and talk to a prospective student athlete is our education, and you know, I think the education we receive here where the faculty can work one-on-one with our students is a great educational environment for somebody to be in, and you know, in a way I think it's a plus.
What about you, Brian?
Oh, absolutely. The small environment, the close-knit environment that we have at Southern Arkansas University is unique to a lot of universities and the schools that we're involved with. You know, the kids, if you look just specifically at the makeup of our team, the young men that are a member of our basketball team are from all over Arkansas, Louisiana, northern Louisiana, eastern Texas, into Alabama. We're able to draw students to Southern Arkansas because of the environment, with the administration, the faculty. It's a unique environment that you don't find at a lot of universities.
What is something that you might say to a student if they're kind of on the borderline? They'll say, yeah, there's great sports there, but what is there to do in Magnolia, Arkansas? What else is there for me there besides sports?
Well, you know, that is with anything, what you do with your time and with your life is up to you. You know, we sell the thing that makes us unique is the people that are involved with our program. We have been very fortunate. The character, the quality of people that we have in our basketball program now are just tremendous, tremendous young men, and the bonds and the friendships that you form while in school tend to last a lifetime, and that's where your memories are, that's where your entertainment is, and your enjoyment.
Brian, we know that you were assistant coach last year, and now you've moved into head coach. Does that pose new challenges for you, a new perspective?
Well, sure. I've been fortunate that I was assistant here for the last 3 years. I worked last year for Coach West, and then the 2 years prior to that for Monroe Ingram. And they did a marvelous job with the program at Southern Arkansas. The strength of the program now is directly due to them and to W.T. Watson. You know, during that time, I spent a lot of time with them, trying to learn from them, from their wisdom and the things that they have done. You know, I guess the biggest difference would just be the responsibility. As an assistant coach, you can kind of push the responsibility off on someone else sometimes, but you know, as a head coach, then you take on that responsibility, and I look forward to that responsibility. It's been very welcome, encouraging so far. The university and the community has been so supportive. Look forward to the challenges that are ahead.
Has the students that you had last year as assistant now had how have they reacted to you?
They've been very positive. Like I said, the quality and the character of the young men that we have here is tremendous. Tremendous. And that's what makes this job so enjoyable is the people that you're involved with. The support that I've received from them. When Coach West resigned, I received phone calls from all the players that are here now that expressed encouragement. They were pulling for me to get the job, and so it's been very encouraging. I've enjoyed working with these young men.
Now, Kevin, you've started a new program here. You're the new girls fast pitch softball coach. Now, I don't know anything about sports. Could you tell a layperson exactly what that means?
Well, right now, fast pitch softball is one of the fastest growing sports for girls and women across the country and at the college level. We play basically with the same guidelines and numbers as baseball's played, except we play on a much smaller scale. Our bases are 60 feet apart. Our pitcher throws underhand from 43 feet. Her average speeds can reach anywhere from 58 to 65 miles an hour. It's a very quick game, a very fast-paced game. We can get one of our regular games will last about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. We can get a doubleheader over, you know, within about 3 hours, 3.5 hours. It's a lot of strategy. Personally, our philosophy, my philosophy is to use the short game. We bunt, run a lot. We want to put players in motion and try and be real exciting. And the games are usually low scoring, and you know, it's a lot of fun to be a part of it. It's a very fast-paced environment for everybody. One of the problems we have with that is the state of Arkansas has been predominantly a slow-pitch state and is not making the transition for the next couple of years. Some of the high schools are starting to play fast pitch this year. Next year they'll be required to do so. So in recruiting in-state Arkansas players, we've had to really spend a lot of time trying to change some of their mentalities about the game and teach them a new philosophy. So that's hurt a little bit there. But we've got very good softball in eastern Texas and northern Louisiana. Plus, I do commend the girls from Arkansas that are in our program. They're playing very hard right now in practice, and you know, I think we can put a quality style of game on the field come springtime.
If I may, I had the opportunity to see his girls scrimmage this past weekend and was very impressed. It was the first opportunity that I've had to see a fast pitch softball game in probably 15 years, and enjoyed it. His girls did a marvelous job. I sure did.
Kevin, is there a difference between teaching women and men?
You know, I believe there is if you let there be. Something that we have to understand in coaching is that we're dealing with athletes. And a female athlete's mentality is the same as a male athlete's mentality. You know, we're in a very competitive environment now athletically. It's, you know, 25 years ago it may have been a different environment. There might have been some different philosophies that went along with it. But now, you know, the athletes on the women's side prepare as hard. They put as much time into it, and you know, the commitment and dedication is the same. So I think we can use the same philosophies coaching in men and women as we've used in the past. And you know, Brian has got the same philosophy as I do. If we respect our athletes and ask them to give everything they have, and we give everything we have to being successful, and we treat everybody in the program fairly and work hard together, then we're going to have a quality program. You know, some of the differences, yes, obviously, the way we take wins and losses may be a little bit different at times, and sometimes we keep our atmosphere a little bit lighter, and you know, the differences between men and women on a regular everyday basis, those things do happen in my job as a coach, because it's not always just the games. You know, counseling and a lot of time talking and getting to know each other is very important. And you know, if I can understand each player on a one-on-one basis, which isn't always easy, it gives me a much better feel for what's happening. But I've coached both men and women. I enjoyed both. I enjoy the women's side a little bit more, just because the fact that in our game of softball, the intensity level can be real high for a short period of time, and then you can get out of it and relax and have a good time. But you know, the differences are there only if you point them out. If we handle each other the same way and work hard for the same objectives, you know, it can be just as rewarding.
That leads me to a question about you as coaches and your students or your players. How involved do you get in their lives? Do you know their families? Do you get to know their girlfriends or their boyfriends? Do you counsel them? Do they come to you with questions?
Well, you know, I think the best way to answer that is we'll get as involved in their life as they want us to be. You know, there's some players that they may come by the office every day, and they may need somebody to talk to or just hang out with. You know, and that's fine. I don't mind that. And sometimes, yeah, we do have to get involved in what they do. And if we can ask them to be adults and try to make adult decisions, hopefully we don't have to monitor everything they do. But there are times that mistakes will be made, and we do have to get involved. And it's not always the bad times. You know, I think if we can be there and be a friend for them when they need it, be a counselor for them sometimes. You know, sometimes we have to fill in a parental role possibly, or you know, being a coach isn't a job that starts at 9 in the morning and stops at 5 in the afternoon. You know, you may get called at 11 o'clock at night because something happened and a player needs you to be available. You know, you have to do those things. The only thing is you have to be professional about it, and as long as there's an understanding that there's always a line, you know, and we both have to live on our own side of that line and be careful not to cross that line, you know, I think we're fine. You know, Brian, what's your feeling?
Well, one of the joys of this job are the relationships that you get to form with your players and with their families, you know, their immediate families, parents, siblings, girlfriends. That is one of the joys in the relationships that you get to build with them. You know, we're traveling together, we're eating together, we're happy together, you know, we cry together. It's one of those things that bonds and relationships are formed, and that's one of the most important things and one of the most enjoyable things about this.
What general sports classes would you like to see added to the curriculum? Brian, I'll ask you first.
Actually, the curriculum at Southern Arkansas, as far as sports classes, is very broad. I know that all of the majors within the field of health, kinesiology, and recreation get a very broad education in all of the major sports, and then many of the other sports that don't get the publicity. We are involved with soccer, flag football, speedball, a lot of different aspects, and then we have the activity classes for the majority of the population of students. So we're fortunate to have a broad base of those athletic competitions and sports.
What about you, Kevin?
You know, I agree with Brian. I think that the way we look at sports has to be really what the needs of our students are. You know, are we giving them the opportunity to be involved in activities that not only they're going to be involved with here as athletes possibly, or if a non-athlete is involved in a classroom environment with a sport, or are they going to be able to use it when they leave here? You know, the lifetime activities and recreational sports are probably the most important that we can involve our students in. anything where we can promote wellness and promote some type of activity for them to be able to do. I don't think competition is all that important when we get into a classroom environment. It's learning how to play and enjoy the sport for what it is, an opportunity to be involved, meet new people, have some level of participation, whatever it may be. And right now I think we're doing that just with the experience I've had.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I really enjoyed talking to you. I'm Lisa Stegall.
And I'm Adrienne Lawton.
The SAU Report is a production of broadcast journalism students in the Department of Theater and Mass Communication at Southern Arkansas University in Magnolia.